Hey everyone, this is Jack with Moonlight Tours. Welcome back. So anyways, I have been working on this. I've been meaning to write my stories for quite some time, and I finally got around to doing it. I'm just starting it, so it's going to be an ongoing project. But I wanted to read what I've been working on so far and share it with y'all. So, here's my first attempt of trying to compile all of the ghost stories in and around Placerville, California that I know. Being a local, I grew up hearing stories to get scared, especially by my older cousins, who told me them, whether I liked it or not. And I'm here to tell you, I did not want to. To add to the dynamic of spookiness in my life, I also grew up in an old Victorian home that was built in 1886, with furniture that was vintage, meaning that each piece was at least 75 to 100 years old. I moved into that Victorian when I was about 7 or 8. It was always very cold and creaked in the winter, and had critters move in the summer. There was a family of skunks that loved the crawl space underneath it. The backside of the property, which is a sheer slope, went up and adjoined to the St. Patrick's Cemetery. You can imagine how fast my brother and I ran back to the house, being afraid that a ghost saw us and followed us back. The side of the house also has a flooded mine shaft that goes an unknown distance into the hillside, with a giant rock outcropping on the side, and a cougar den inside of that. My dad would tell us that he would rather us play around the cougar den than explore the mine shaft, so at least that way he could bury us properly if something happened. He was kidding, of course, but he said for us to never be out at twilight or at night unless he was with us. Anyways, that house impacted my life, and here in this book, I'm going to tell you what I experienced and many ghost stories about the town that inspired me to do what I do today. And that town is Placerville, California. With that said, I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. Warmly, Jack Devon, owner and operator of Moonlight Tours and co-host of Haunted Horizons. Chapter 1, Good View Court. To do this book justice and be done correctly, we should start in the beginning. I was born at home in Orangevale. When I was about 2 years old, I remember my parents saying I was going to be a big brother. And so we moved to 666 Goodview Court in Placerville. Yes, you saw that right. 666 Goodview Court. I was a toddler, but I remember my first nightmare was there. Before I go into the nightmare, I need to describe the house. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a root cellar that had a single hinged sheet of plywood to keep the spiders out of the house. The rooms all had a door that went into the adjacent room, and you could walk in a circle in about 45 seconds or so. I remember being chased in that circle by my mother, whom I did then and still now love very much. It was gray and staticky, and almost as if it was black with white negative spaces to make out the things in the house. Doors, walls, clothes, furniture, everything of this shaky, staticky, white gray. When she finally caught me, she grabbed both my ankles with one hand, held me upside down, her mouth open like a snake, and I went head first into that. Very scary. I always got a bad feeling about that basement, but I think that's natural about being little and being in old root cellars. Chapter 2, The Victorian. When I was about 7 or 8, we moved to 2823 Coloma Street, which is right on Highway 49, going towards Coloma. It is a 2-story, 4-bedroom, 2-bath Victorian home built in 1886 and served as a general store and brothel. The side of the house has a flooded mine shaft that goes into the hillside and a cougar den within a short distance. If you wanted, you could probably throw a rock into the entrance of the cougar den from the front and or side yard of the house. It's also said that a Tuttle went from there all the way to the Sequoia house. There's also another strange feature, and that is that there is a porcelain baby doll ear embedded into the concrete retaining wall. Why it's there, I have no idea. The windows were single paned and did nothing to keep the cold or heat from coming in. So during the winter, the house would creak and moan, and during the summer, it would not only be the hottest house in the neighborhood, but many different critters, including a family of skunks that absolutely loved fighting down there. Shortly before we moved in, my dad was at the Victorian home by himself, doing yard work. He decided after a time to take a shower and go back home to Goodview Court. So he used the bottom floor master bedroom bathroom. He starts up the shower, starts to rinse off. When he then hears a woman giggling. Thinking it's my mom, he calls out, "Carol?" He keeps hearing the giggling with no reply. He turns the shower off and looks into the room. Still, nobody is there. It's dead quiet. He ponders for a second and gets back in, this time putting some soap in his hair. Once again, he hears some giggling. And now the sound of multiple women talking. He now turns the shower off again, calls out and thinks, well, maybe Carol's outside with a friend or her sister, and they are just talking super loud. He looks out the front window into the driveway, and what does he see? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He lets our dog at the time, Rocky, in to keep him company while he finishes up in the shower. Fast forward a couple hours, and now he's at home, still trying to make out what happened earlier. While he's doing this, my mom sees his bare back and notices what looks like to be woman's fingernail scratches. She is, of course, furious and demands answers. Within a short amount of time, she not only realizes that he's telling the truth, but she finds it oddly fascinating. The room my dad heard the voices in was the madam's quarters, where she would take care of the workers and also come up with prices for her customers. My brother was about 5 and I was about 8, and as we lived there, different things would happen. During full moons, the moon would shine through a window that overlooked the spiral staircase going up, and during one of these full moons, my brother heard what sounded like horses gathering outside. There was never anything there, but as it got louder, we mustered up our courage and started to walk down the second floor hallway, which was our shared bedroom. And as we hit the brilliant moonlight on the staircase, the sound instantly died away. So that's what I got so far, and there's still way more to do, but yeah. Anyways, I hope you're having a nice night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a story time. These are all real stuff. This is all true, and I'm just doing my best to just put down what I know and share it with you guys. So hope you're having a nice night, everyone. Talk to you soon, and this is Jack with Moonlight Tours, and thanks for joining me. All right, see you next time. Bye.